Nithyanandam. Hi, this is Ma Nithya Oviananda. Today I wanted to speak a little more about the Avatar, His Holiness Paramahamsa Nithyananda. For some time now, several of us sannyasis have had the privilege and honor of compiling various components of the life of the Avatar. So many things he said about it. He's writing the book basically of his autobiography, and we're also compiling many things, doing research, finding out more, because it's part of our spiritual process. Finding out more about the Avatar, he likes to make us look up clues and come to our own experiences with the happenings of his life. So one thing that I can say that we're learning now, Swamiji always has possessed two things. One is extreme intensity in all of his actions in his life, very much an intense person from a young boy, and also always going with the flow of life, always saying yes to life, always being involved in life and what's going on in a full, intense manner. And even as a young boy, you can see that in all the stories. So there's one Swami who's been taking interviews of many people around Tiruvannamalai who've known Swamiji. So family, friends, people from Arunachaleshwar temple, all around his schools, everything. And there's those two things are in common throughout. There's many stories about him and many these accounts of how their life was with Swamiji, how they interacted with him. One is his extreme integrity, authenticity to what he believes, and responsibility for everything going around in his life and around others. He took responsibility, and he was just always enriching people. So the very same things he's teaching us now, and that we're using in our life, actually in our vows as sannyasis. Those are basically one of the main principles that we live by: integrity, authenticity, responsibility, and enriching. So Swamiji throughout his whole life was like that, even from a young boy, and very intense and involved in everything he did. He just didn't do anything half-heartedly. He was always completely involved, and from a sense of just wanting to know and experience, and it's like his eyes were always wide open to everything. He never turned his back on anything. He always intensely looked into it. So even in the early stories that we hear about him getting his first deity and worshiping Ganesha, I mean, here's a boy of 3 years old worshiping Ganesha. He treated the Ganesha with such a devotion and love. Every day he would go around with the Ganesha. In the morning he'd brush his teeth, he'd dress him, wash him, everything. Just like he was doing, he would do with Ganesha. And additionally, like putting him under the net when he was sleeping, under the mosquito net, making sure he had a place beside him. And also pulling him around in a chariot and giving him puja, doing the arti, the puja, feeding him, everything he did. He was living with that Ganesha as a young boy. And what a experience of bhakti it gave him, an experience of connecting with the divine. Because for him, that deity was real to him. And it was real, actually, because we know that by worshiping deities, it's such a connection with the divine, the energy is there. And being that he's an incarnation already, such an energy must have been surrounding his worship of Ganesha. And I'll mention more about these stories in detail, but there's one story in which he actually witnessed Ganesha eating. And he would not leave that situation for nothing. I mean, imagine a 3-year-old boy fasting for 3 days, because he swore he was not eating until Ganesha ate. And that's when he had one of his first spiritual experiences. So imagine such a determination. Once he makes a decision, that's it. He decided and he was going to do it, and he was successful. So the cosmos hears us. Once we make a declaration, the words we give ourselves inside and outside, that declaration is what the cosmos hears. The cosmos doesn't necessarily have a CCTV camera on you, but the words that we utter, the words that we speak, that's what the cosmos hears. So such a strong sense of self and declaration at such a young age, and completely involved in all the temple activities at Arunachaleshwar temple, and also with his boys, his friends. They would make deities, they would dress them up, they would take them on processions around the neighborhood, play the drums, do all the things that exactly the temple did. Swamiji would study how they did all the rituals and the dressings and the alankar. So all of those things, like he never let that down. It was a part of his life from such a young age. See, it's like he knew what his mission was even then. He tells us how he didn't realize his avatar mission until his wandering years. And he makes jokes. To me, it's a joke, kind of, and it's cute when he says it. But he says, "I'm just a village boy." It's so funny to me because he's so much more. But it's also so sweet because he's grown up in such a beautiful place, Tiruvannamalai, in such a wonderful community, the temple community. But when he says it, it always makes me laugh because I'm like, really? I don't believe for one instant I believe he always knew he was an incarnation. But he tells us these stories because he wants to relate to us and make us also understand that we can also reach that space. That's why he's here, to elevate us and let us also experience that. So he's telling us that story, of his life and how he realized his avatar mission. So after 20 years old, while he was wandering, he realized it. But I believe he knew already when he was born why he was put here. Because already he was getting trained. He was getting that understanding. So from the temple community, how all the things happen, how all the rituals happen. I mean, he was conducting, things as a young boy with all his friends. They did Alankar in different temples, even one famous Devi temple. They let him do the Alankar, him and his two friends. And such a reverence he had and knew about, even at that young age. I think I have to look up exactly his age, but maybe around maybe 10, 11 years old. And at that age, having such a responsibility, such an attitude of responsibility, and giving the correct context to his friends, how they're not just going to dress Devi, they're not just going to do Alankar for her, but it's Devi herself, that energy there, and such a respect they should hold, and such a openness and gratitude, and all the things for her, that feeling, that bhakti, that feeling of love, and knowing she's there, and they should be extra special in treating her. So at that age, even he was setting the context, just like he does now. So, as a boy, he would get all his friends, round him up. And, like one time they did Alankar for, Ganesha, let's say. And they, and they're like, and he's like, let's make a celebration and, get all the musicians and this, that. So already then he was coordinating all these people, getting all his buddies together and making them come there to meet up and do this thing. Same way he does now, and knowing and getting into that whole temple community, and exactly from top to bottom, he would do everything from cleaning up to doing the Alankar to offering the Naivediyam, the arti, everything he would do and learn all of that. And then he moved on. Then he went into his wandering years so he can meet as many different people as possible and talk to and enrich as many people as possible and give them blessings and listen to their stories. He's always such a deep listener, even now. Even if I sometimes think I'm not saying anything important at all, just because sometimes when you're speaking to him, it's like he, first of all, knows what I'm going to say. He's heard everything under the sun, so you really can't surprise him. And I'm not even saying anything like earth shattering or anything, but he's in such a deep listening to every detail, and he never makes you feel like it's not important, or he's always so much listening to everything. You can describe in detail how you watched paint dry, and he would really listen to you. Like, because he wants to know about every experience, and he wants to hear from everybody and help them through everything. And even just the fact of speaking to him, so many karmas are cleared, and so many incompletions, insecurities, anything. It's just cleared by speaking and his listening, basically. It's such a gift for all of us. And so anyway, he was doing all that from a young age. And then when he decided to go to Ramakrishna mission, he was initiated there as a brahmacharya. He's basically like learning from then how to run an adinam. So at such a young age, and I mean that time, forgive me for not remembering the exact date, but I know it was before he was 18. So I know it